Have you ever felt that? You are constantly struggling to keep up with everything, to never ending to-do list stress you out. Don't worry, because in this video I am going to reveal one of the best time management methods in the world. This method takes just 5 minutes a day to plan, but it can significantly change how you approach your time. By the end of this video, you'll have a simple yet powerful system to help you organize everything and take control of your schedule. Whether you are a student, working professional, or just trying to stay on top of your daily life, this method will work for you. Before we dive into the method itself, let's talk about why managing time is so crucial. Time is the most valuable resource we have. Once it's gone, we cannot get it back. Imagine what life would look like if you had complete control over your time and everything went exactly as planned. Think about it. How much more could you achieve? How much less stressful would you feel? When you manage your time effectively, you are not just getting things done, you are also living a life that's purposeful and intentional. You make sure that your actions align with your values, goals, and dreams. And that's the real why behind time management. The desire to live purposefully, to stop wasting time on things that don't matter, and to focus on what really moves us forward. But here's the thing, most people don't know how to manage their time effectively. They feel overwhelmed and out of control. And that's exactly why this method is so important. Let me tell you a bit about my own journey with time management. In my first 2 years of university, I was completely overwhelmed. I was struggling with my mechanical engineering classes, trying to maintain a social life, and still trying to find a time to relax. It felt impossible. No matter how hard I worked, I always felt like I was falling behind. And then there was this group of students. I noticed they always seemed to be doing well in their classes, A+ students I mean, but I never saw them studying. Instead, they were socializing at cafes and attending parties and hanging out at the student centers. It didn't make sense to me at all. How were they able to do all these things at the highest level? At first, I thought it must be talent. Maybe they were doing something naturally smarter, but over time I realized that that wasn't the case. They had to be something systematic. So I started experimenting. I read study methods books, listened to every productivity podcast I could find, and watched countless YouTube videos. Then it clicked. I started to see patterns in how successful people were managing their time. I realized that they were using a structured approach to their day that allowed them to succeed effortlessly. When I applied this method to my own life, everything changed. My grades improved within a month. I was able to attend more social events than before, and I no longer felt rushed or overwhelmed. And I am here to tell you that this method can work for you too. Now let's get into the method itself. It's a simple 4-step system that only takes 5 minutes to 10 of effort per day. This method helps you plan, remember, and finish your tasks on time. It's easy to start over if you have fallen behind, and flexible enough to adapt to your schedule. You'll need just 2 items, a piece of paper and a calendar. I prefer Google Calendar or Outlook because they make it easier to move tasks around than physical ones. Let's start breaking down how this system works in 4 easy steps. So, first take some time to list all your tasks on the calendar. This is a one-time setup. You are basically doing a mental dump, getting everything out of your head and into your calendar. Tasks without deadlines. For each task, choose a day when you will start working on it and create a new event in your calendar. For example, if you know you'll have a free time on Wednesday, schedule it there. You can easily move these tasks around on your calendar later on if needed, so There is no worries, don't stress too much about which day you initially assign them to. When it comes to 4 tasks with deadlines, follow 2 steps. First, mark the due date clearly with a title and a description. In order to easily locate them later, categorize them under labels like exam, homework, project, or even job interview. Next, pick a day to start working on each task and add it to your calendar with an extra note such as due Friday or due September 26, so you can prioritize and keep track of deadlines. So far, you have captured all your tasks from this calendar. This is now will be your main source. Now it's time to grab a fresh sheet of paper. Divide it into 2 columns. You will be writing today's program on one side and reminder on the other side. Each morning open the calendar and spend 5 to 10 minutes to decide which tasks can be accomplished in that day and not. Keep in mind that this will be only serious time when you manage your day in the whole 24-hour period. Now check your calendar for today's appointments and tasks. Your goal is to determine how much of this workload is realistically complete, but you might be tempted to copy everything from your calendar onto your today's program list. But resist this urge. If you want to avoid feeling overwhelmed, you need to manage your time wisely. Therefore, be realistic with your time. For instance, if Thursday program is full with meetings, studies and other commitments, it might not be the best time to schedule to clean room or to meet with friends. Similarly, if you have a big presentation or test on Friday morning, avoid filling Wednesday and Thursday with tedious errands, since you will need to focus on studying. For tasks that aren't urgent, for instance, like choosing an university for master degree, feel free to push them to a later, less busy time, perhaps after finals week or that big presentation. Assign a specific time period for each task. Don't schedule 3 hours of studying starting at 1 p.m. if you know you have a meeting at 2:30 p.m. It doesn't make sense. Also, don't underestimate how long tasks will take. If you need 2 hours to work on a project, don't schedule just 1 hour and hope for the best. It doesn't work. The main purpose of dividing your tasks into time blocks is to prevent the common mistake of misjudging how much free time we actually have. Many people use a basic to-do list to maintain their daily tasks and lives. However, there is an issue with this strategy. Without assigning time blocks, they often don't realize how much they can realistically get done in that day, resulting in an impractical day and plan. A 12-hour day may seem like plenty of time, but once you factor in meals, classes, meetings, breaks, and social interactions, your available time quickly shrinks. The principle is straightforward. If you misjudge how much free time you have, you'll probably procrastinate until it's too late. This often leads to late night studying, stress, and extreme work. Therefore, having an understanding about assigning time blocks is key to success. After 2 weeks of adding time estimates, you'll see major progress about this topic. Group small tasks together. If you got small tasks like responding to emails, going to the store, or running quick errands, group them into one time block, for example, between 9 and 10 a.m. Emails, laundry, and grocery shopping, it could be happening in that period of time. Schedule breaks. Leave plenty of time for breaks and give yourself at least an hour for meals, not just 20 minutes. If possible, try to finish studying or working at a reasonable hour and avoid trying to work all night. Overloading your schedule won't make you more productive. It will just make you tired and frustrated. Keep in mind that Relaxing is also really important. Throughout the day, be aware of that fact also. Unexpected things usually will come up. And don't assume that during the day your mornings or afternoons will stay free as they seemed in the morning. The key is not to force everything into one day, but to determine how much you can realistically accomplish. If you can't fit all your tasks into today's schedule, don't worry. Simply move them to future dates when you can handle them later. Once you decided what's realistic, write tasks into today's program and assign specific times. That's it. Now you have a plan to reference throughout the day. This is the master key. But since the easiest systems, when they are described for the first time, can be quite confusing and easily misunderstood, we will be covering for that reason a detailed example later in the video to show you how to apply it in real life. As you go through your day, keep an eye on your today's program list. This will help you stay on track, but don't feel like you need to be too rigid. Unexpected things will happen, and this is completely fine. Stay flexible. If a task takes longer than planned or you get interrupted, just adjust your schedule as needed. Don't worry if you don't get through everything on your list, that's totally normal. The key is to ensure steady progress without overwhelming yourself. Write down new tasks. As you encounter new tasks or deadlines, quickly note them in your reminder column. This way, nothing important is forgotten and your mind stays clear and focused. For instance, your manager or professor might give a new project and want to see that project presentation in a month. It could be also an upcoming exam. The key is to get these unexpected things out of your mind as soon as possible to avoid unnecessary mental tiredness. This only takes a few seconds. You can schedule the details tomorrow. All you need right now is a short reminder. When you take a break, you should be able to fully enjoy your downtime, but it's hard to do when important reminders are constantly buzzing in your head. Now let's talk about what happens when things don't go exactly as planned. Life is itself pretty unpredictable, that's for sure. And new tasks often come up during the day. You might also have some tasks from today that you didn't finish. That's completely normal. Here is how we handle them by using our piece of paper and calendar efficiently. So, there are three sub-steps. The first one is new tasks on our reminder column. Throughout the day, you have probably written down some new tasks in the reminder column on your piece of paper. These are the tasks or the deadlines that weren't on your radar this morning, but now it appears they need to be addressed. When you sit down the next morning for your daily planning session, it's time to transfer these new tasks from your reminder list into your main calendar. For tasks without deadlines, review the new tasks and pick a day when you will start working on them. For example, if you wrote down clean the garage in your reminder column, decide when you can take care of that. Choose an open time slot on your calendar and create a new event for that day, labeling it appropriately, of course. For tasks with deadlines, if the new task comes with a due date like submit project proposal by September 27, mark the deadline clearly in your calendar. Then schedule 3 days before the due date to start working on it. This way you are not handling it yourself in the last minute. For example, today is September 22 and the proposal is due on the 27th. You might schedule time on the 24th to start drafting it. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, you won't finish everything on your daily list. Again, that's totally fine. The key is to reschedule unfinished tasks rather than letting them pile up or cause stress. Check your today's program list from yesterday. Look at the tasks you planned for today but didn't complete. For example, if study for thermodynamics exam is still unchecked, you'll need to move it to another day. Reassign each task. Look at your calendar for the upcoming days and choose a realistic time slot when you can complete these unfinished tasks. The important part is to separate them out in a way that won't overwhelm your schedule. If the task has no immediate deadline, move it to a later day. For deadline-driven tasks, if the unfinished task has a deadline, prioritize it and move it to the nearest available date. Before the due date, of course. Make sure to give yourself enough time to complete it without rushing. Now that all new tasks and unfinished tasks have been transferred into your calendar, it's time to prioritize them. This is your chance to set yourself up for a productive day. Be selective. Don't try to pack everything into one day. Choose the most important and urgent tasks for today's program. Balance your workload. Ensure that your tasks are separate evenly throughout the day and week. Avoid the temptation to catch up on everything in one day. It will only lead to burnout. Every morning, by transferring new and unfinished tasks into your calendar, you ensure that nothing slips through the cracks. It allows you to stay on top of deadlines, reduce mental clutter, and manage your workload with ease. Remember, time management isn't about doing everything perfectly in one day. It is about staying flexible and organized. And there you have it, a simple 4-step time management method that takes only 5 to 10 minutes a day. At first, for only once, capture all your tasks. Secondly, in the morning, transfer and prioritize. Third, throughout the day, be flexible and write down new tasks. In the next morning, you will be updating the calendar, and that's all. It's easy to implement, flexible and incredibly effective. But since the easiest system, when they are described for the first time, can be confusing and easily misunderstood, we will be covering now a detailed case study to show you how to apply it in real life. Let's take an example of Sam, a college student, studying for his final exams while working in a part-time job and trying to stay active in his social life. Sam feels completely overwhelmed and behind on his studies. He has a huge research paper due in 2 weeks, multiple quizzes, a group project, and a work shift to manage, plus a dinner with friends planned for Thursday night, for instance. So we will go through step by step to see how this method could be implemented in real life. So, step 1. Capture all tasks. Sam sits down with his calendar for the first time and writes down all the tasks floating in his head onto the calendar. Once everything is out of his head and onto the calendar, he feels much more organized. Step 2. Transfer and prioritize. The next morning, Sam sits down and opens his calendar, which he filled out already in step 1, and review all the tasks he scheduled for the upcoming days. His main focus now is to decide which task can realistically be completed. First, Sam grabs a fresh sheet of paper and writes today's date at the top. Next, he divides the paper into 2 columns, one labeled today's program on one side and the other as a reminder on the other side. Using his calendar as a guide, Sam begins to transfer the tasks into the today's program list that he plans to handle today. But he knows it's important not to overwhelm himself. Instead of copying everything from the calendar, he carefully selects the most important tasks for the day. For each task, Sam assigns a specific time block. For example, if he has a physics class in the morning, he writes physics class between 8:30 and 10 a.m. And then he needs to study for his thermodynamics quiz, for instance. So he writes study thermodynamics between 10:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. He also schedules time for his part-time job, work shift between 2 and 6 p.m. In his mind, he put a time block also between 12:30 and 2 p.m. for lunch and 20 minutes on the bus to work. Then research for his thesis paper comes in the picture. He writes research for the paper between 8 and 9:30 p.m. And he also includes some smaller tasks and a Netflix marathon for enjoying his free time. So he writes checking and responding emails between 9:30 and 10 p.m. Also, Netflix new 3 episodes between 10 and 11:30 p.m. Sam is also careful to leave some buffer time between tasks for breaks and flexibility, ensuring he doesn't overload his day. He also knows that unexpected things usually can come up during the day, so he doesn't plan every minute of his day. By the end of this step, Sam has a clear plan for his day, with specific time slots for each task. Now, his mind is free from confusion and he knows exactly what he needs to focus on. Step 3. Throughout the day. During the day, unexpected tasks usually come up. In the reminder column, Sam writes down any additional tasks or deadlines that pop up throughout the day. For example, if he remembers an upcoming project or receives an email about a new assignment, he will write it down under reminder column to schedule it later in the next morning, for instance. Or Sam's professor announces an extra homework assignment that's due next Thursday, and Sam quickly notes it down in his reminder column so it doesn't get lost throughout the day. He also realizes at night that he might need more time for his research, so he adjusts his schedule at that moment and moving less important tasks like email check and one episode on Netflix to another day. This way, he gives himself more time to focus on his assignments. The last step is step 4, updating the calendar. The next morning, Sam sits down for his daily planning session. He moves yesterday's incomplete tasks, like finishing his research for the paper, to a new time slot on Saturday. He also adds the new homework assignment into his calendar and schedules time over the weekend to complete it. Because Sam started constantly reviewing and updating his calendar every morning, he never feels overwhelmed or behind. He knows exactly what he needs to work on and when, allowing him to stay focused all the time without stressing over deadlines again. This is just one example of how you can use this system to take control of your own busy schedule, whether you are a student like Sam or a working professional just trying to organize your daily life. This system can help you accomplish more with less stress. Now it's your turn. Grab a calendar, fill in all of your tasks, and start spending just 5 minutes each morning to organize your day. You'll be amazed at how quickly this method will transform your productivity, reduce your stress, and help you achieve more than you ever thought possible. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button. This way YouTube will know that you prefer content like this and will recommend you more helpful videos instead of random stuff like slime videos or useless distractions. This will save you time and keep your mind focused and motivated. See you in the next video. Take care and until then, stay well.